Are you afraid of the hurricane?
No.
There's currently a Category 5 hurricane, Milton, heading straight for St. Petersburg, Florida, aka Tampa Bay. That right there is Tampa Bay. I live directly across from the water, and my house currently has all my stuff in front of it because last week, Hurricane Helene destroyed it. We had about 52 inches of water in our house. So right now, the house behind me is pretty much a big pile of junk, and it could potentially see way more storm surge for Hurricane Milton, which is a much bigger hurricane, but we still don't really know which way it's gonna go. I, fortunately, am not staying in this house because it's inhabitable right now. It's basically a giant $600,000 paperweight. So as you see here, this is a water line. This is my Ring camera. So point being, if a Category 5 happens, a direct hit, the water will probably go over my roof, and I don't even know what could happen after that, but I know it will suck. So this is the current state of my house. My house is fucked up. You know, pretty much everything in here is trash. Everything can be thrown away. The ground is still wet, and Hurricane Helene was here like last week. Look, it's still wet in here. There was mold forming on the back of my bed. Yep, that is mold forming. So we need to start the remediation process, or that's just gonna get worse, but because of Milton, we can't. There's a few things I wanted to save, particularly my cigar ashtray. I missed this. Gonna need this at my new apartment, which I'll show you guys in a little bit. So this was 52 inches. 10 feet of storm surge puts it over top of my house. But I figured I'd, you know, grab a drink out of my fridge that got floated around last weekend for Hurricane Helene. And you can never go wrong with a sugar-free Red Bull from the outdoor fridge that floated from around the corner. So it's gonna be interesting to see what Hurricane Milton does. They're calling for like a massive storm surge. If a Category 5 hits my neighborhood, well, it'll basically be underwater. But the thing that is the problem is you see all the people's trash. That's all their belongings. The city has failed miserably and has not picked them up. So has FEMA. So basically when Hurricane Milton, if and when it does hit, or depending on how bad, the waters are gonna rise up, because remember the ocean's like right there. All of that is gonna swell. We had 52 inches of water, which brings it right to my numbers, basically. So I'm 6'2", that's about right up to my chest. That's how high it came for a Cat 3 or 4 that was 150 miles offshore with roughly 8.5 foot of storm surge. If we got hit head on, it's basically gonna swallow my house. It's probably gonna swallow most of the neighborhood's houses. And even these big houses that are on stilts, it's probably gonna swallow the first floor. And all this debris is just gonna go everywhere. So just giving you a little update on where we're at. Again, hurricane season. I love Florida. As you can see, a lot of my badass neighbors are making sure people know not to steal their stuff. But look at all the destruction that's still on the streets. All of this shit is gonna end so badly. If we do get the hurricane, if it does come through, all of the water is gonna flood up. All this shit's gonna go into the ocean. And or if we do get Category 5 winds, or 3 or 4, all this is gonna be thrown around and basically become projectiles for anybody's houses, further fucking them up. So I will have to say, FEMA, the city of St. Petersburg, you kind of failed. This is my own little hurricane hunter, 2010 Porsche Cayenne, 3-inch lift on 33s. So you can get through some serious water. This is probably one of the worst streets coming in and out of my neighborhood. Pretty much every single house on this block got flooded. Like, there's not a single dry house from last week's Hurricane Helene, and they're all bracing for impact for Hurricane Milton. Fun fact, I think a couple Teslas exploded in here last week too. Crazy. Super creepy situation here. We're in my parking garage at the new apartment, and we are the only people here. The garage is empty. Some kayaks in case we got to float out later. Nothing here. That's my trailer over there that has a little bit of my stuff still in it. Obviously, I don't have any way to move it. It's like a storage unit from my house getting flooded last week with Hurricane Helene, but now we have Hurricane Milton, and this is wild, but they did flood in this garage during Hurricane Helene, but it only came up about a foot. And the storm surge for Hurricane Milton is about half currently of what Hurricane Helene was. Now the winds are another story, but storm surge is all good. So this is the parking garage at my studio, and the hotel next door is taking upon themselves to start valeting all the cars, blocking everybody in. This is gonna be really fun when they try to leave in like 48 hours. Let's see how that pans out. Took a break from worrying about Hurricane Milton, and I've got a workout in at the probably only CrossFit open before the hurricane, Bird CrossFit. Doing a last minute workout with these two. Day before the storm. Don't look too excited. This is the Hurricane Milton update. It's 10:30 a.m. on Wednesday morning. The storm is projected to hit, which is currently a Cat 4 tonight, a little after midnight. It's gonna get pretty bad here. We are in a new construction apartment building. It's very well constructed, hurricane glass. We are technically in a mandatory evacuation zone. Out there about 12 miles is St. Pete Beach. Then if you spin around over here, Tampa Bay, which is where my house is, which is originally flooded from Helene and Adelia, is about 3 miles that way. Right, that street is Zone B, so we're right on the cusp of A, B. Yes, with some mandatory evacuation. I know the comments are gonna get all crazy about that. But during Hurricane Helene last week, our house, which flooded, is about 3 miles that way, and the coastline to St. Pete Beach is about 12 miles that way. But this actually flooded out and covered all of this. This is a brand new apartment complex, and they got about a foot of water in the garage. That was with a 10-foot projected storm surge. Right now, as of 10 a.m. on Tuesday, or 10:30 a.m. on Tuesday, or 10:30 a.m. on Wednesday, we are projected to only see a 5-foot storm surge. Yes, there's gonna be a lot of wind. It's gonna be sketchy, but these are hurricane, protected glass. But this is a brand new building, new construction. We're on the 5th floor, so we're like 70 feet up. So we are not gonna flood as far as no water is gonna enter this. The wind could get sketchy, yes, but I'm gonna go on a limb and say it's way more sketchy to leave because, well, those things called gas and no hotels. I'm not really about that life. And, by the time they did the evacuation warning, most of that shit was gone anyways. And it's just a risk. So me and my family are gonna stay in here. I know this is gonna piss a lot of people off, and that's fine. This is a choice. We all make choices, but I trust the strength of this building. I've ridden through hurricanes quite a bit. I'm 41 years old, lived in Florida my whole life. But the cool thing, or not the cool thing, this is a bad thing actually, but see this is not a retention pond. This is actually the water from the ocean. Our building, this building, we just moved in a week ago because our house flooded during Hurricane Helene. That actually came up about a foot in the garage, but right now the storm surge is at 6 feet, which is much less than Helene. So the only thing water related we have is this, it's not really a retention pond, but this stream right here, this actually goes to the ocean, and this will lower and rise. And the way the storm's forecast now, storm surge is not going to be as big of a problem, but there is going to be a lot of wind. As of right now, we are on the weaker side of the hurricane, which is going to be like the left side, which is actually going to suck the water out of Tampa Bay, which most people don't realize. But this is a concrete building. It's 10:30. There's still people driving around. A lot of people evacuated. Hurricane Milton, update number 6. As you can see behind me, the rain is really starting to come down. We are five stories up, about 70 feet above sea level here in St. Petersburg, Florida. Roughly 3 miles from the coast there, and that way is about 12 miles from the beach. Storm is projected to hit pretty heavy tonight around, I guess, like 4 or 5 hours. But right now we got some rain bands. Things are getting a little rough out there. Gonna be keeping an eye on that stream down there because during Hurricane Helene, it did come up and over and flooded by about a foot here. As of right now, the storm surge for Milton is only at, I say only, about 4 to 5 feet. So if that sustains, we shouldn't see any flooding out here, except for maybe some rain flooding, but ultimately storm surge is what affects this area. My house that got destroyed during Hurricane Helene is about 3 miles that way. Hurricane Milton, update number 7, coming to you from St. Petersburg, Florida. As you can see, water's starting to rise over here. We got some surge. I don't expect it to get too crazy. I mean, it's starting to come over the top, but according to the NOAA charts, the surge is going to be around 3 to 4 feet. That was pretty on point when it came to Hurricane Elaine, which we flooded through last week. But either way, we are 5 stories up in apartments, so storm surge isn't really gonna bother us. Winds are starting to gust. I think we're seeing around 40-mile-an-hour gusts right now. As you can see, it's getting real thick with rain. For context, about 2.5 miles from the Tampa Bay that way, and we are about 12 miles from Sunshine Skyway Bridge, which is where this thing might hit dead on. So on a good note though, I'm being contacted by multiple news stations to come on and talk to them about staying the night, or staying and riding Milton through the night. So we're gonna see how that goes later. Hopefully power holds out, but little wind gusts there. But staying safe in a big concrete fortress here. But yeah, I'm gonna keep updating you throughout the storm, and or till my batteries die.